We're going to be doing a little bit of viewer Q&A on the topic of fasting. So I'm going to go ahead and get into question 1. Hey Thomas, I want to start intermittent fasting, but I know if I go without eating for a long time, I will get hunger pangs and headaches. Is there any way for this to not happen?
Yeah, the short answer to that is stick with it for a few days. It comes down to, it's called distensibility. What it is the stomach shrinks itself. It's a very elastic organ. So right now, your stomach might be really, big because you're eating 3 meals a day. So as you slowly reduce your meals or you go into fasting windows, your stomach is still stretched out, and all of a sudden you're not filling with food. So it's like, it's like growling, it's shrinking, and then you actually have this hormonal response that can make you, actually get literally hunger pangs and also hunger pains, like PAINS, because your stomach is shrinking. It can actually hurt. You can cramp. And sometimes that happens the first couple of days of fasting, but then the stomach shrinks, and you don't deal with that anymore. And the headache thing, that's just a direct result of your blood sugar just really balancing back off. You're used to having constant glucose spikes. You have to retrain your body to be able to utilize its own energy stores. Being honest, you might have 1 or 2 days of headaches. So, on that note, it's simple. Just maybe start your fasting days on a weekend when you just can expect to maybe just be a little bit tired. It's like a rite of passage almost.
It's literally like a day or two, and it's not even. It's more mental. It's not necessarily like you're not going to be able to survive unless you're just that mentally, and a lot of us are though. A lot of us have this mental attachment like, I need to be eating every 2 hours, I'm going to starve, or they've created these ideas in their head like my muscles are going to starve and my brain doesn't have energy, and none of that's actually true.
Yeah, so you're bringing up all these good points, and I think a lot of you probably want to know the science behind it. So I created a full-length video that touches on, well, I shouldn't say touches, it goes into exquisite detail on the physiology and really what's happening inside your body at a metabolic level and a cellular level when you're fasting. I speak for myself when I say if I understand something, I adhere to it better. So head on over to SixPackAbs.com or just click on the link in the bottom corner. But what you're touching on is really, really important, because how metabolically inefficient would we be if the second that we skip a meal, we'd lose everything we've worked for?
Exactly, it's gonna be okay to go 16 hours without eating, and the benefits outweigh hunger pangs. As long as you don't have, a serious, if you don't have diabetes and things like this, that like you literally have to be, your blood sugar is more important. That's above a mental game. But if you can separate yourself from the mental processes of like how difficult this is and it's hard and it's painful, I'm telling you, the benefits far outweigh any kind of like mental game that you have about not eating.
And I'll go into a lot more detail on that. I also go into detail on some of the mental things that you can do to overcome those hurdles. And you can find those at SixPackAbs.com, or you can just hit the link and that's going to take you over to SixPackAbs.com where you can watch the full-length video.
So Thomas, what are some tips for people who do experience the hunger pangs and are having issues? Can they do anything during their fasting period that wouldn't break their fast?
Totally. My personal favorite, and those of you that have seen my videos before, is going to be utilizing apple cider vinegar. And what that does is that increases something known as mineralization in the body. Mineralization is the uptake and the utilization of minerals. Apple cider vinegar contains acetic acid, and that acetic acid does some pretty cool things in the body. So it allows things like magnesium, potassium to get into the body. What we have to remember with minerals is they are a calorie-free way of your body having energy. They're like the electrical system of the body. So if we're not utilizing minerals right, we'll be low on energy, we'll feel cruddy, we'll get the hunger pangs.
That's a really good point.
So yeah, the apple cider vinegar is a huge trick. The other thing is, don't shy away from caffeine. Don't be afraid of caffeine. Like that will get you through hunger pangs, because remember, it's a pituitary hypothalamic axis that's communicating with that, like your ghrelin, your leptin response, and all that. So if you have some caffeine, it's going to get you through that. Not saying that you totally like wing yourself out on it, but have a little bit of caffeine.
What do you think like is the threshold? Like what's the cutoff? If you just could quantify it in like cups of coffee, what would you say? It kind of
I know guys that have extremely solid, really good blood panels that are still having 6-7 cups of coffee a day. I don't do that. I'll be the first to say, like, I consume 3 cups of coffee a day. I'm not,
me too.
like, not because I don't get sleep and I feel like I need it, but I actually like it, and there's a lot of mental benefits to it, and there's very few negative benefits to caffeine other than dehydration. And again, as long as your minerals are being uptaken and you're hydrated, it's not too much of an issue.
Right. I think another thing, just to address the headaches, mineralization is going to be super important for that too, because that's going to keep your body hydrated. It's going to keep your brain functioning. What he said about the electrical impact of having the appropriate amount of minerals, like that's huge. So the apple cider vinegar, it could be something that can also help reduce the headaches if you're someone that does experience headaches, but also just staying hydrated in general. I think maybe if we're talking about fasting, you might not consider like, hey, I need to be drinking X amount of water. Well, if you're not drinking any water, it's gonna hurt your brain.
Totally.
So how much water would you say?
It all depends on the person, but you have to remember that when you're fasting, you have very low amounts of glucose or carbohydrates in your body that are normally holding onto water, so you're gonna need a little bit more water. I would recommend, myself, I'm about 180 pounds, I consume about 1.5 gallons a day, so that's a good scale. So if you're 180 pounds, 1.5 gallons is a good number. You should really be consuming a lot of water. That's probably, again, it's one of the more difficult things about fasting is making sure that you're on top of your water game. But there's so many other things that are easy about it, it ends up making it so much better. I mean, I'd rather drink a lot more water than have to carry like 27 Tupperwares around.
Yeah, I think that's a fair trade.
So that's something that I go into a lot more detail on if you head on over to SixPackAbs.com. Again, super proud of this video we put together that's gonna explain everything in a lot of detail. That's about all the time I have for today, Kate, but I think they'll learn what they need to learn if they head on over to that link. So do it to it, I'll see you there.
Absolutely. See you guys.